The Gift of the Empty Hand, A Journey to True Generosity. In the bustling city of ancient India lived a wealthy merchant named Sariputta. He had everything that a man of his time could wish for: vast amounts of gold, land, fine clothes, and a large family. To the outside world he appeared to have achieved all that one could desire. But deep inside, Sariputta felt an inexplicable void. Despite his riches, he could not find peace or contentment. The more wealth Sariputta amassed, the more he realized that it wasn't filling the emptiness in his heart. He became restless, seeking answers beyond the material possessions that surrounded him. One day, he heard rumors of a great teacher, Buddha, who was traveling nearby. It was said that Buddha's wisdom could bring peace to even the most troubled minds. Intrigued, Sariputta decided to seek Buddha's guidance. After a long journey, Sariputta arrived at a village where Buddha was giving a sermon under the shade of a large tree. A crowd had gathered, listening intently to Buddha's words about the nature of suffering and the path to inner peace. That day, Buddha spoke about generosity, explaining that true happiness comes not from acquiring but from letting go and sharing with others. Sariputta approached Buddha after the sermon and asked, "Master, I am a wealthy man. I have riches, land, and all that one could desire, yet my heart is restless and I feel empty. How can I find the peace I seek?" Buddha looked at Sariputta with compassion and replied, "The peace you seek is not found in what you hold, but in what you release. True wealth lies in giving, in sharing what you have with those in need. The act of giving brings us closer to inner peace." Inspired by these words, Sariputta decided to start giving away his riches. He donated large sums of money to the poor, fed the hungry, and even gave away parts of his land. But despite his charitable actions, the emptiness inside him remained. Frustrated and confused, he returned to Buddha. "I have given away much of my wealth," Sariputta said, "but the void in my heart has not been filled. What more must I do to find peace?" Buddha smiled gently and said, "Sariputta, you have indeed given, but you have not yet let go. You still expect recognition, praise, and reward for your generosity. True giving comes from an empty hand, with no desire for acknowledgement or gain. When you give freely, without expectation, you will discover the peace that you seek." Sariputta was taken aback by Buddha's words. He realized that while he had given material wealth, he had still clung to the desire for status and approval. His giving had been tied to the need to be seen as generous and kind. Determined to learn the true art of giving, Sariputta decided to give without seeking anything in return. No praise, no recognition, no personal gain. From that day forward, Sariputta began giving in small, humble ways. He would provide food to beggars without anyone knowing, help strangers in need without revealing his identity, and offer his time and labor to those who required it without expecting thanks. Little by little, he learned to give from a place of pure compassion and love, without attachment to the outcome. Years passed and Sariputta's life transformed. He no longer measured his worth by his material possessions or by the approval of others. Instead, he found a profound sense of fulfillment in the simple act of giving. With an open heart, the inner void that had once tormented him was now filled with a deep peace, born from selflessness. One day, as Sariputta reflected on his journey, he realized that he had gained something far more valuable than gold or land. He had discovered the joy of true generosity, the ability to give without expecting anything in return. His heart was light, free from the burdens of attachment and desire. Sariputta returned to Buddha and said, "Master, I understand now. The gift of an empty hand is the greatest gift of all. It is not what we give, but the spirit with which we give that brings true peace." Buddha smiled and said, "You have learned a great truth, Sariputta. When we give without attachment, we free ourselves from suffering and open the door to true happiness. The joy of giving lies not in what we receive, but in the act itself." Sariputta became a devoted follower of Buddha, spreading the teachings of generosity and compassion wherever he went. His wealth, once a source of pride and attachment, became a tool for helping others, and his heart was finally at peace. Moral of the story: true generosity is not about the amount we give or the recognition we receive, but about giving with an open heart, free from the desire for reward. When we let go of our attachments and expectations, we discover a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. The more selflessly we give, the more we are enriched in spirit.